Hey everybody. So, quite honestly, this is not a video that I ever thought that I would find myself doing, because something that I have more than anything for people is a respect and a grace for people to grow. And I have a heart for people that is beyond understanding. And so it's been through a lot because I am one of those people. I sacrifice, and I don't like to expose things for what they are. And so I was asked to talk about why I left James River Church. So, in my early years, I've been with James River Church now for, I joined their church as just somebody who went to church in 2008. I got rededicated because I've been saved since I was 12 years old. And so I have loved God. I have served God ever since I got saved at 12. But when I came to James River, I had been in the world for a while. I had let some stuff get on me. And so I felt it was necessary to rededicate my life to the Lord in 2008 there. Well, the reason that I went to James River in the first place was that it was a large church and I was still living in the world. I was still doing what I was going to do, but I knew that I needed to be in a church that was preaching the real word of God to me. And it was preaching the Bible. And so I went to James River. And so over time, my heart was changing. Things were becoming a lot different for me. And so I went into a living free program there. And it was something that blessed my heart, from the people to all over. And I learned so many lessons and I gained a lot of healing in that time period. But there came a time when I know that the Bible teaches that the older women will teach the younger women. And so at James River, I stepped into a position as a facilitator in the Living Free program. Well, sometime during that time period, it went from where you could just be a facilitator to you had to be a member of the church to facilitate, which makes sense in a sense of accountability, but I didn't agree with it. And I do not like to get into contracts or agreements with people. That's something that I take extremely seriously. And so part of this agreement was to sign a purity pledge, which was fine. I was totally willing to sign the purity pledge. But what bothered me was that you had to come into membership to be in this facilitation. And so one of the girls that was facilitating with me at that particular time, she said, you're already doing this, you're walking in the position, so you might as well sign the paper. And so I really felt pressured that I was not going to be able to serve people within my church if I didn't sign this membership form. And so I signed the membership form. And so shortly after I had done facilitation and I'd stepped into a class the Stepping into Freedom, which is one of their individual things. And something that I noticed very, very quickly is that they started the program of signing paperwork to get people who are in active addiction help, and that's 1000% okay. But in my particular facilitating group, I feel like I was put in a position to basically sit at tables with my abusers, or people who are like my abusers or had the heart of my abusers. And I really thought that the structure should go differently. And so as I said something about like not feeling comfortable, what happened was there was this guy that came into my group, and I am very I want participation, and I like to see participation. I like to see people included. And this gentleman was straight irritated that he had to be there to get his paper signed or whatever. And he started taking it out on me. And I got triggered in that moment. And I said, no more. I will not do this again. And so I started facilitating in a class called The Single Christian after that. So took myself out of that environment, put myself into a community group of people. And so this was about 2017, 18. I had just gone to the Ashes to Beauty conference. I had rededicated my life. I had given myself to God. 2017, 2018, I was really making huge transformations and huge leaps in my healing. And so I went to do the Single Christian class. And I went through a period where I was called to take care of my father. My dad was ill. He had stage 4 cancer, and he really didn't have a ton of people that were there for him. And I really had just met him, and God was teaching me a lesson during that time, but I was still being loyal to the church. They asked me to do a Single Christian class, and I said that I really needed to step back and do this with my dad. And so I was actually asked 3 times to do this specific class until I finally said, I'm going to do the class. And so what happened was, in the middle of the class, I was driving back and forth because I will keep my commitments. So I was driving back and forth from St. Louis, Barnes Hospital, St. Louis, back to teach these classes on Wednesday nights, and was doing my very, very best not to miss any of the classes. And I think at that time period, there was another girl that was there with me that she was also asked to teach the class. And so she did it, but she wasn't able to fulfill all of the commitment. So we were both just, I think, trying to make sure that we covered the entire class. And so in one class where we were both there, my father passed away, and my phone rang, and I got a text message, and I looked down, and I just picked up my stuff and I walked out. Guys, a church that will ask you to put them before your family is not a church that I want to be affiliated with. I didn't even know my dad that well, but in this entire process, I chose a church assignment over being loyal to a father that I was trying to love and show the love of God to. And after I left, they didn't call. I never got anything. I got a call around COVID to see if I was okay. And so James River was such a large church. Let me take a drink, I'm sorry. James River was such a large church that it was easy to be missed. You could go for days without hearing from somebody from church. You could go months without seeing the same person because you guys are in different services, whatever. And then, you might have a women's night where you see everybody and it's like, hey. Or you have, you're serving at the same event, or like there's maybe Bags by the Bumper or something like that. You guys are on the same department serving. There's ways, but honestly, that was my thing that drew me to James River in the first place, is I didn't have to be accountable in certain aspects because they were so large that I didn't have to be held accountable in what I was doing. And so as God started putting me in a position where I was seeing things that were being infiltrated into the church and I wasn't being heard, and then by me having my feelings hurt so badly, because nobody wants to have to take care of their alcoholic father in the first place. Nobody wants to have to do that alone. But to have to do that alone and not realize that your church is not there for you, even in your father's death after, when you have bent over backwards for them. That's why I left the church, as far as completely cut off all of my ties, all of my associations. And so I have a couple of friends who have no idea why I didn't want to go there, but at the same time, I live on a different side of town, so God was showing me a new place to go to church. And as I went to church in this new place, I had to do my best to get there in the first place, because it was small and it was more of an intimate type setting. And what God was trying to show me is that I was really, really good at the Bible, which I grew strongly in. And now I actually see them totally walking away from it, James River. Like I said, I went there because they were a Bible teaching church. And so when I came to this new church, I could feel the presence of God, and I could feel how strong it was. And so there's a story in the Bible where there's a guy, his name is Zechariah. I believe it's Zechariah. I hope I'm right. If it's not, then you'll know the story. But God, he asks God, it's a question, how can this be? And God shut him up. For the longest time, he went mute. And so when I went into this new church, I was asking God, how could this be? And I was standing in a prayer meeting, and the pastor asked me she didn't ask me actually. What she said was, would anybody like to pray prayers of intercession? And of course, I want to pray prayers of intercession for people. And I stood up in front of her. There was not very many people in that room at all, but I was completely silenced. I was not allowed to speak during the healing portion of what I was going through. I was not allowed to say a word about where I came from and what I had experienced and what I had gone through, because I was so angry at that time that my family, my church, the people that I thought were going to care and love me, they didn't do it. And so that I was literally in the middle of my life, leaving a place I grew up in to find an entirely new family to start over. I was not in a place where I needed to know why. I needed to know how God was going to make this work out. And so he silenced me, very much like that story. And so when I started talking, what happened was I got hit in the spirit world like a ton of bricks. What happened is again, I have had all of my dental work that has been done when I lived in the world using means that I had when I was in the world. So when I started being able to open up and start talking about things, my teeth started getting infected one by one. And so I have now lost an entire bridge worth of teeth because I have been speaking out about the things that have happened in my past. And so I want to expose everything that's coming against me in certain aspects, but I wanted to do that with the honor of God. And so when you start doing things in the spirit world, ugly things start happening. And so, like, I have been sick for about 6 weeks now, and I have been hit with a lot of things financially. I've literally wanted to completely just sell my business and call it a good day. And I've honestly had a really hard time struggling. And then whenever I woke up this morning and God said it was time to speak on this, I absolutely was like, no, I can't. I'm not going to do it. And that's what I always do. I'm like that. No, I'm not going to do it. But I didn't have the heart like I usually do to fight him. It's like, all right, God, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to say about a family that I was so in love with? And what do you want me to tell people? How do you want me to break their hearts? How do you want me to tell them that I don't believe that the church that I grew up in, the preacher is speaking from the biblical point of view and using the Bible to tell us the truth? He's using the Bible to manipulate. Guys, I was sent to James River to give a warning when I went to my new church. I thought I was supposed to go back. And so I went to the counseling center, and I needed spiritual counsel. That's what I felt in my heart. And I needed to know what was going on because I have never been through anything like this before. So I went and I sat with the counseling department head, and I said, I was telling him about my stuff and who I was, and finally he just said to me that he had more important people that came into his office with bigger problems than mine and wanted to know why I was there. Guys, that's not counsel. And if you go to a counseling center that tells you that that's counseling, they're lying to you 100%. I would rather go out in the world and let God tell me what the demons are trying to tell me to heal myself than I would to go to James River Church Counseling Center ever again. And I mean that with all of my heart. You guys, I love you. I care about you. And I don't care what you think about me. Talk about me. I don't care. But I cannot allow people to believe that this stuff is true anymore. I can't. The amount of pain that has been on my heart and the amount of time that I've kept my mouth shut, the amount of time that I have not been able to talk, and then when I am able to talk, I get over on this side and literally my teeth start falling out. That is not going to stop me from talking about what I am going to talk about. It is not going to stop me from helping other people get free. And what people need to understand about that is I am very, very, very passionate about God, and I am very, very passionate about Jesus Christ. And I see people being lied to by a spirit that is calling itself Jesus, and it's not. It's an antichrist. You need to be asking yourself, Is this a spirit of God, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, or are you a demon? And if you don't have the guts to ask that, then you aren't ready for what you're asking for, and you need to seek help and you need to seek counsel. That is what is most important about God, and that is what is most important about the Bible. It does not matter what church you go to. It doesn't matter what pastor you sit under. If you can't match your words to the fruits of the Spirit, you're messing with a demon. Anyway, I get on my soapbox and I don't get off. Anyway, guys, I'm going to let that ring because that's what happens when spiritual warfare gets out. So, you guys, I just urge you that if God is on your heart, if God is speaking to you about something, trust your own heart. You are allowed to seek wisdom. You are allowed to seek counsel from people who also know the Bible. You are allowed to have discussions. You are allowed to ask questions. If somebody is telling you on like a video that I've seen recently, if people are telling you that you are not allowed to ask questions, you're in a cult. You're not in a church. Ask me, I know. I just pulled my son out of one. So if you guys have any questions, if you guys want to talk, you guys want to argue, put it in the comments, because guys, it's time the people who have experienced real hell and real warfare speak out to the people who've never seen it, because growing up in a struggle is different than growing up being loved like that. And I promise you guys, you are going to want to see the stuff that God has for his kingdom in the end, but you're not seeing it there anymore. You're not. Okay, guys, I love you. I'll catch you guys later. See you guys soon. It's with a heavy heart that I have done this video.